UFC Vegas 47, Strickland versus Hermansson. What actually happened? We're going to go through the entire card and talk about each and every fight. Guys, make sure to smash that like button if you're new to the channel, subscribe, turn the post notifications on, and share the video too if you enjoy the content. And let's start it right off with the first fight of the night. It is Malcolm Gordon who defeats Dennis Bondar. Underdog came through and got himself a big upset, and quickly Bondar immediately seemed like he was going to be in for a challenge. Gordon started fast, landed a big shot. They got into clinch positions, and just unfortunate situation. A bit of an underhook type whizzer position for Gordon. He then somehow turned that into like an armbar dislocation as they're against the cage with Bondar's side leaning against it. It just was super awkward for him. A ton of weights coming down. He definitely heard it on the way down. And then Gordon fully snaps it, broke his arm. Of course, stoppage. He tapped out. Bondar tapped out. Gordon felt bad after. He said, man, I really didn't want that to be the way the fight ended. I don't go in there trying to kill people. But he got the win. And what has to be done for a victory is worth it for Gordon because he really needed this W, getting his UFC career off to a little bit of a flow now after starting off with a bad 2 losses in a row. He's now got 2 wins straight, beating Francisco Figueiredo in the one before. And now Dennis Bondar, who was supposed to be a pretty hot Ukrainian prospect. Big win for Gordon. Look forward to what's next. Flyweight, there's a lot of good fighters, but there is a path to title contention if you really can rile off a lot of wins. I liked what I saw from Malcolm Gordon. Lots of improvements. I wish we got to see the fight go longer, though, because still there's question marks about his game overall, but still great win for him. He has a good skill set nonetheless, but is it contendership caliber? We shall find out in the near future. Let's keep running. Next one. Phil Rowe and Jason Witt. So the fight started about how I would have expected. Rowe gets taken down. He gets grinded out the first round. He was okay off of his back, but still Witt was on top. Then we get into the second round, another takedown for Witt, but when they get back up to the feet, it was a total difference maker. Rowe lands, I believe, a right and then a left, and they didn't look like devastating punches, but they definitely had a bit of pop behind them. Witt collapses. Fight stopped, done. Witt's knocked out in the second round. I don't know. I was the guy saying he can take a pretty good shot and his chin issues were being overhyped, but maybe I was wrong on that one. I do feel like Jason Witt was stunned bad with a shot that wasn't necessarily extreme bad intentions on it. Not like a super loaded up shot. Still, it was a very clean punch. It put Witt down. He gets stopped here. Tough loss for him. Exciting for Phil Rowe, getting some momentum. That's 2 straight now in the UFC, both by KO. He's a lanky guy at 170 pounds. You got to tie up those takedown defense issues, but on the floor, he does have a competent jiu-jitsu game nonetheless. Got himself a nice knockout on the feet. The stand-up is where he wants to be. Beating the Vanilla Gorilla, Jason Witt. Good win for Phil Rowe here in the second fight. Jailton Almeida showed, the bookies were right on this one. I was concerned that he would be tested a bit more. I still believed he would win the fight, but Danilo Marques got destroyed. Almeida goes for a takedown early, gets it to the floor. He's all over him on the ground, seems way stronger. Marques, known for competing in jiu-jitsu as well, had no match for Almeida. Complete domination, prime Jacare Souza-esque top control, which was just insane. And bigger, stronger Jailton Almeida gets the full mount, unloads some Donkey Kong hammer fist, and then the ref, Mike Beltran, jumps in, stops the fight. Big win for Almeida, and it was easy against Danilo Marques, who I don't think of as a slouch. I mean, he's not top level, but still a difficult test, especially for a UFC debut. Passed with flying colors, did Jailton Almeida. I think he has a really bright future at 205, 30 years of age. He might be a contender on the rise. Brazil might have somebody to really keep an eye on right now because at 30 years old, the way he beat down Marques, the grappling game, you look at the division, I think a good grappler like this with effective takedowns could be a serious problem. Looking forward to the future for Jailton Almeida. Fantastic win in his debut. Very impressive. The next fight featured Alexis Davis and Julija Stoliarenko. Stoliarenko early in that first round looked like she might have had an armbar, but Davis was so good at escaping. She escaped several times with multiple armbar attempts in that first round. Second round, though, you actually see the striking on display for Stoliarenko, outstriking Davis. I did give Stoliarenko the second. Third, more Davis control, beating her up on the ground. Any submission attempt that was even close to being thrown out there was stifled. Alexis Davis, the veteran, did what she should have done, especially with her being a fairly wide favorite, gets a win fairly dominantly. Tough girl, Julija Stoliarenko, and gave it all she had. But Alexis Davis, the veteran, will now stay in the UFC, move forward, beating a girl who, was not necessarily high level in a difficult fight. It's not like everybody's like, oh, give this girl a title shot or a ranked contender. But Alexis Davis will still be there, and there's fights for her on the horizon, especially in the lower end of the weight class for up-and-coming fighters. And I mean, if Davis can keep winning, I believe she can keep fighting and doing well, making a beautiful living for herself fighting. I bet she's getting paid pretty decent at this point, having, a lot of experience in the UFC. Her veteran ability showed. Her leg kicks looked awesome as well. She really destroyed the leg of Stoliarenko. That's what got her the advantageous position in the third round, is destroying that leg, knocking her down. Great fight for Alexis Davis. Big win. Hard fought. It was a battle, and it was impressive nonetheless, and very fun to watch. Alexis Davis beats Julija Stoliarenko. The next fight of the night, Chidi and Njokuani, the lock of the week from the money line for me, ended up getting a 16-second knockout of Marc-André Barriault. Barriault got put out in one. It was a jab, and then it was a cross down, a little bit of ground and pound. Fight is immediately over against the cage. Chidi and Njokuani looked precise. That was the win that he was, deserved almost. He was owed that victory after so many years grinding to get to the UFC. In his 28th professional fight, gets the win here. He's 33. He's got a high-level skill set. He definitely can compete with a lot of guys. I'm curious how far he's going to take it now. Beating Barriault is impressive, but Barriault is not a ranked contender, a top 15 guy, but still a difficult test. I don't think Njokuani's getting anybody ranked just yet, but impressive win. I believe quick turnaround should be something that's next for him, and let's see if he can make a run here in 2022. High-level stand-up game, and he really put that power on display. If he lands, it's more precision power over than just like winging knockout shot power. It's just precise technique. Barriault didn't even see it coming out, and I consider Barriault a pretty durable fighter. Great win for Chidi and Njokuani with that quick knockout in his UFC debut. Could not be happier for him. Chidi, congratulations to him. Let's keep running. Next fight of the night, Hakeem Dawodu and Mike Trizano. Very one-sided, but technical and competitive at moments, but Dawodu led the way throughout the entire 3 rounds, landing better kicks, better strikes. He would throw multi-shot combos. You got more 1s or 1-2s from Mike Trizano. He really didn't get a ton off, landed one decent takedown. Even in the clinch, it seemed Dawodu was the stronger fighter, landed great shots towards the end. They mixed it up a bit. It seemed like Trizano was a bit hurt there too. Of course, there were a couple of moments. Trizano landed a pretty nice knee from the clinch, which I thought was doing more damage than it really ended up doing. Dawodu landed some power strikes, busted up Trizano a bit. Overall, Dawodu, technical, patient, multi-shot combinations. I love how he attacks all levels. He'll throw to the body, the head, the legs. He does it right. And so hard for Mike Trizano to find a way to even hit this guy because Dawodu's reflexes are off the charts. It was a fantastic win. On the feet, Dawodu is going to give tons of people problems in the featherweight division. Better grapplers, Movsar Evloev, his most recent fight before this one, evident that those guys will give him the problems. The guys who are going to take you down and grind you out. Strikers, be very cautious fighting Dawodu. Great performance against Trizano. Trizano will be back. I still think he's a pretty good fighter too. But Dawodu, big win. And he needed this now, bouncing back from the Evloev fight. And let's jump to the featured prelim. John Castañeda and Miles Johns. In the first round, it seemed like Castañeda was definitely leading the way, but John still was in that fight. Like, you knew one shot was all it was going to take from him. But then it showed, Miles Johns only has one shot here. Castañeda has volume. He has pressure. He had the gas tank.
Miles John started getting tired. He's a very jacked fighter for 135, and I do believe he cuts a lot of weight, started fatiguing late. Third round TKO. Johns was hurt a couple of times. He threw some power strikes and landed okay, but nothing really directly on the chin. It's almost like his style reminds me of like mini Yoel Romero at times, where he's just bouncing back, sitting back, letting you lead the dance. That works when you land the death touch, but when it doesn't, it's a problem. Also, Castañeda being a southpaw, I did think had a bit of a factor. It was a lot harder for Johns to find that rear overhand than it would have been against an orthodox fighter. So great win for John Castañeda, beating a real prospect in Miles Johns. I'm excited to see what they do next with him. He's a fun guy to watch at 135. Gas tank, wrestling, volume stand-up. Keep your eye on John Castañeda. Great win for him over Miles Johns. Let's jump to the main card. And if you guys haven't yet, make sure to smash that like button. And if you're new, subscribe. Let's talk this one. Julian Erosa and Steven Peterson. One of the best fights of the year already. Maybe top. I mean, the fight was an absolute barn burner. Recency bias may be there for me thinking it might be top of the top. But these guys went to war. In the first round, it was all Erosa. It looked like he was going to knock Steven Peterson out. Second round, Peterson looked like he's going to knock Erosa out. Third round, more chaos, more battle, some takedowns by Erosa, a little bit of top control, wears on Peterson a bit, but Peterson didn't quit, finishes it off striking, and Julian Erosa gets the win. He finished it off with the front flip kick that you've seen Justin Gaethje do in the past. That was honestly a fantastic fight. Like, I was digging the whole battle there. I feel like if Peterson would have made weight, he might have got stopped, though. That chin from being a little bit over the weight class was definitely a bit better. Thing is, he's now not eligible for the bonus, so that honestly really sucks for him. Julian Erosa should be taking $100,000 home because he definitely deserves it. I'd like to see the UFC cut Peterson at least a $20,000 check because he put on a war and took so much damage, even though he missed weight. Like, that was an amazing fight, and that started the main card off. It started off with so much momentum. Amazing stuff. Erosa was in tough, and he was a huge favorite coming in, but I knew he was going to be in a little bit tougher than these lines had it. Peterson brought his A game, nearly won the fight. Spinning elbow at one point from Julian Erosa as he's dropped Steven Peterson. This fight was bonkers. Amazing. I loved every second of it. This is like those true OG war type battles, and this is a fight that I'll definitely remember here. Loved it. Julian Erosa put on a battle with Steven Peterson. It was a great fight. Loved every second. Great fight to earn money towards Erosa with the bonuses. I want Peterson to get something, man. So fingers crossed that he does. I really think he deserves a little something, even though he missed it. Like a little something helped this guy out. He took a lot of shots and he gave it all inside of the octagon. But give Erosa the $100,000 because that's what he deserves. And he's an OG vet that's been around forever and deserves to be paid now at this point. Next fight of the night, Bryan Battle and Tresean Gore, the true Ultimate Fighter finale. Even the trophy was there in the hands of the winner for that post-fight speech, and it was Bryan Battle who got the win. Tresean Gore, extremely inactive in the first round. You knew he hit hard, but he had a really hard time dealing with Battle's volume from range, beautiful kicks, punches, straight shots, a lot of movement. Tresean was looking to get inside and just land bombs. He was just throwing 1-2 shots at a time, whereas Battle's 1, 2, 3, 4, move. And Tresean's plotting, just stepping in, not using a jab to get in, just trying to land the knockout shot. Seemed like he didn't necessarily respect the game of Battle as much as he should have. And I guess I get why Tresean has this style. You look in the second round, seriously stunned Battle like a couple times. Not enough to be, oh, we're about to stop the fight, but stunned him a bit, shut his eyes. So you know there's serious power on the Gore side, but damage doesn't win fights. He won that second round, but Battle also had some clinch control late. Third round, Tresean ends up landing the double leg from range as Gore's striking. Couldn't do anything really from the top position. Couldn't do anything from the top position either in the second round, also to note. Really not a ton of ground and pound off by Tresean. Battle was tough from the bottom. Third round, they went after it. What won the third round ultimately was the clinch control by Bryan Battle towards the very end. He controlled Tresean against there, controlling where the fight goes, even though it's not a takedown. Cage control counts for something. And when you're clinched up like that in an advantageous position, even if you're just throwing light peppering shots, maybe even just foot stomps like we've seen from other fighters, not here, but still something to note, you get the win. Bryan Battle, deservingly so, beats Tresean Gore on the scorecards 29-28, brings the trophy out. He brought it just to prove like, hey, I really am the Ultimate Fighter. He defended that crown against the supposed to be finalist Tresean Gore. Absolutely fantastic for Bryan Battle. Gets the win. He is the true Ultimate Fighter. Congrats to him. And he was like the last pick on the show too. So for writing this guy off, they made a big mistake because he turned out to be the man that season and truly proves it here, beating Tresean. Cannot wait for the future for Battle. He has a very bright one. On the opposite side, Tresean's a good fighter. He just needs to get his volume higher. Find ways inside him. He's training with Douglas and Diego Lima. Those guys are very schooled stand-up fighters. Experience. I mean, Douglas Lima, one of the best fighters in Bellator history. So I feel like Tresean will find his flow. Very young in MMA, 3-1 record, a near double the experience on the side of Bryan Battle. Actually, double the experience on the side of Bryan Battle. 4 fights to 8 fights, even though the Ultimate Fighter fights on Tresean's side. They don't count on the pro record, but it's a big difference maker, and it was evident in there. Battle moves forward with a huge win. I do believe Tresean will be back. Loved the matchup nonetheless, and I'm a fan of both guys. They both put it all out there. Bryan Battle gets the deserving victory. Next fight of the night, Brendan Allen, Sam Alvey. Let's be honest, in that first round, there were a couple moments for smiling Sam Alvey. Landed some good strikes. He then got badly wobbled towards the end with an overhand against the cage, and he was pretty much out on his feet from there. Survives, though. Then the next round, patience from Allen, because he knew when Alvey touches you, he's going to hurt you. Slowly, he finds his way, lands a beautiful left hook. If you notice, Alvey drops that right hand inside sometimes, looking for his flurries. Allen capitalized. Beautiful left hook as Alvey's trying to shoot an overhand punch. Alvey gets caught with the left hook, still like winging the right as he's going to the floor. Allen steps out of the way, then jumps back in all over him with the ground and pound, locks up the submission. Beautiful rear naked choke. The hooks aren't even fully in, but that was it. It was locked up. Great win for Brendan Allen. Sucks for Sam Alvey, who's now on a really bad streak, 0-7-1. I don't know if the UFC keeps him around. He's a great guy and longtime vet. I'd like them to, but I don't know. Big question mark about the future for Sam Alvey. Brendan Allen with the impressive win. Hurt Alvey badly and then chokes him out on very short notice. Off the couch, 5 days, boom, in at 205. Gets himself a nice victory. Good to get a win. Good to get his feet back under him after the tough Chris Curtis loss. I expect Allen back at 185 making some moves because he is a really talented fighter. Great win. Beat Sam Alvey. Sad to see Smiling Sam take the loss, but congrats to Brendan Allen and exciting fights moving forward. Okay, next one was awesome. Shavkat Rakhmonov silenced any doubters that he isn't the next big prospect to watch. He is 15-0, devastating striker. Carlston Harris could do nothing on the feet. Harris could not take him down, but also I got to note this, Shavkat had a hard time getting Harris down, was only able to do it once with that throw, judo-style throw. I don't know the exact term off the top of my head, but it was a beautiful technique. It was while Shavkat had Harris pinned against the cage, and then they switched. He rolls, beautiful throw, finds himself on top, but Harris very competent on the floor, finds a way out, gets back up to his feet, and then you look, I mean, Shavkat Rakhmonov throws a spinning back kick, lands right on the chin, hurt Carlston, puts him down, ground and pound from the top position, from full guard, and that was it. Done. Ref jumps in, stopped it. Harris was pretty much out. You look earlier in the fight, Shavkat throws a spinning back kick to the body that lands beautifully. Shavkat Rakhmonov is so precise with his stand-up game. He's a true spectacle to watch. He also has nasty submissions and a confident ground game too. Shavkat's a real deal prospect at 170 pounds. He's got a great frame, 6'1", 77-inch reach, calm, poised. Gets a huge win over Carlston Harris. It's disappointing to see Harris get beat like that, man, but unfortunately, he got thrown to the wolves here against Shavkat Rakhmonov. Great win. I don't know about like a contender yet, but 3-0 in the UFC, all finishes, making easy work of his opponents. I think Shavkat has a very bright future, and I look forward to his next venture in the fight game in 2022. Co-main event, Nick Maximov and Punale Soriano. I had to put a little flow to that name there. Punale Soriano. Puna Soriano. Soriano gave it all he had, and he landed some great strikes. That first round was competitive. Second round, Maximov with the takedowns a bit. Third round, Maximov just grinding it out. You could see there was evidence of a potential injury on the Soriano side. There was a huge knee that landed by Soriano that busted Maximov up. He landed some heavy punches on the feet. It's like Maximov is such a consistent wrestler. He's just shooting. I want to be on top. I want to get position, and just keeps going for it. And there's times where he's like real low, and there's openings, and he gets caught. And that's why you saw Punale Soriano catch him a couple times. A higher level guy could definitely catch him and potentially put him to sleep. But Maximov's grappling game is difficult. It's a true grind style, like a John Fitch-esque style. He's going to wear you out over the course of the fight here and just grind on. Maximov with the win. Not necessarily the action-packed thing you expect from the Nick Diaz Academy, but grappling on display for them. He beats Soriano. We'll see what the future holds. I won't say anybody's going to be jumping at the bit to ask for a Maximov fight next, but I like the guy, and his jiu-jitsu is extremely slick. He's only 24. The future is so bright. You know, he's super young in the fight game, 24 years old, wins on the biggest stage, 8-0, beats Punale Soriano. Soriano takes a disappointing loss now, goes to 8-2. He's got great hands and power. Just he dealt with a guy that the grappling was just overwhelming. And it's not like he got damaged. It's not like Soriano really got beat up out there. He just needs to find a way to break away from this guy. That was extremely hard to do, even though he defended the majority of the takedowns, still getting taken down a good amount. And even when he gets taken down, though, it's not like Maximov secured position and beat him up. It was just a bit of control. Gets the deserved win. I guess at one point he had that standing backpack over Soriano. That was really Maximov's true most dominant moment. Gets the W, beats Soriano, close decision, split. Some people will like it, some people will hate it. More damage on the Soriano side, control on the Maximov side. I do see why they scored it for Nick Maximov, who comes through as an underdog. Main event of the evening, Sean Strickland versus Jack Hermansson. These two went to a technical decision. They didn't go to war here. I mean, I don't think many people expected this to be really a war. They thought maybe Strickland would just let his hands fly and do his thing for 5 rounds. And honestly, they thought right. That's exactly what he did. Jabbed his way to a unanimous decision win. At the end, he said he really wasn't impressed by the way he fought. He said that he really didn't feel like he put on much of a fight. He wasn't super impressive, like, oh, I'm knocking this guy out. He's got devastating power. But, I mean, he controlled range the whole time. Hermansson barely could get anything off. His accuracy rate was, like, extremely low. Strickland popped the jab. And then he would work the jab, couple of crosses, and he'd also then work to the body a bit. But it was no devastating shots. There's really not a ton of pop coming from the side of Sean Strickland. Did technically have one knockdown, but it wasn't like a big devastating knockdown, more of like a off-balance type knockdown. He landed a good cross on Hermansson. Hermansson landed a couple of decent strikes. He could not land a takedown for the life of him. Sean Strickland's defense is serious. This guy is hard to take down. It is no joke. Sean Strickland can defensively wrestle at a high level. Also has showed offensive wrestling in fights as well. He now moves forward into a very interesting predicament in the middleweight division. You look at the real upper echelon of it. Adesanya, Whitaker are fighting for the belt next week. Then you look below that, it's Brunson versus Cannonier, who Adesanya beat Brunson badly. Like, that rematch doesn't sell. It's a weird situation because let's say Cannonier gets beat by Derek Brunson on a grinding decision. Is Brunson Adesanya rematch getting anybody really all that excited? I would still be open to seeing it, especially with an evolved Brunson, but just something to note. I don't know if the UFC goes that route. And then you got Sean Strickland. He's right there. He would probably be the next guy up. Assuming Jared Cannonier wins, I think Strickland's one away. And then you matchmake the fight between Marvin Vettori and Sean Strickland. I suggest that as the next matchup for Sean moving forward. I feel like it's just more sensible. If you go out there and give him a title shot right now, it will be circumstance-based. Based on Brunson, if Brunson beats Cannonier, I think Strickland could be next for the belt. If Cannonier beats Brunson, Strickland fights Vettori. So situational stuff is going to be really where it leads to. And I want to pull up the rankings real quick before I send you guys off, because I want to give a fight for Jack Hermansson. Who should he fight next in the middleweight division after a difficult loss? Maybe that Darren Till rebooking. I think that could be something. Uriah Hall could potentially be on the radar. Even a guy like Brad Tavares, who's still top ranked. If they really want to like throw him to the wolves. You give him Paulo Costa, who lost recently to Vettori. I don't think that's a great idea, but it could happen depending on timing of when he wants to come back. But I know for Strickland, it's circumstance-based. If there's an opening, it's title shot. If there's not, it's going to be Marvin Vettori. Either way, wasn't the exciting, crazy performance people want out of Strickland, but at the end, he did say, yo, let's throw down, let's go for it, and he talked his little smack. It was a weird fight. It was one where Hermansson showed his durability, took whatever Strickland threw at him, and we went through 5 rounds of technical control striking. I saw it 5-0 or 4-1. I could see either of those scorecards. Crazy enough, it ends up being a split decision. A judge had it 3 rounds to 2 Hermansson, which blew my mind. I didn't think that was even possible, but that's how somebody saw it. I guess there was good low kicks on the Hermansson side, but outside of that, not a ton. Strickland gets it done. Deserving win. Controls range super well, and he was at a reach disadvantage here, so that is something to note. That jab is on point. It would be interesting to see him fight against an Adesanya or against a Vettori even, or a Paulo Costa, any of those guys. I'm just curious how his lack of knockout power will fare against the true upper echelon of the division. We're going to find out. Technically, he's extremely sound, and maybe he goes out there and works some top guys with that jab, but I don't think you do that to Adesanya. I think that would be an extremely difficult matchup, but it might be the one that's made. We shall find out. I mean, obviously, Robert Whittaker still in the mix. He could win, and then we might be looking at Adesanya-Whittaker trilogy, and then maybe Brunson versus Strickland if Brunson's able to beat Cannonier, or even Cannonier versus Strickland. Very circumstance-based is going to be what's next for Sean Strickland. Either way, it is a massive fight. He got the biggest win of his career in the main event. Overall, the card was a ton of fun to watch, to break down all week. I had a great time on the live stream. If you guys didn't see it, I had to do that shoey, which is always a blast. Record-based, I'm looking at it now. 3-1, 3-2, 3-3, 4-3, 4-4, 4-5, 5-5, 5-6. 6-6, 6-7. Did we go 6-8 tonight? Damn, that's a disappointing record. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, 7. Excuse me. 6-7 record. So not my best record performance, but I have to note we finished out with the big 3 fights as wins, which I was happy about. It just started rocky on the prelims. Fun UFC Vegas 47 card. I hope you guys enjoyed the week of content and this post-fight breakdown. Make sure to smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn those post notifications on. Keep it locked in right here at MMA Experts. Got all the stuff for UFC 271 dropping on the channel. Tomorrow, the full card predictions will be out, so stay tuned for that. Much love, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace, guys.